And I was laughing, but he meant it, Blues fans make a difference. St
Yeah.
Andrews is not a welcoming place for opposing teams. I don't mean fighting and nonsense. I'm on about the atmosphere they create.
So we are live with another podcast, and joining me is a Blues legend, Tom Ross. How you doing, Tom?
I'm fine. The word legend is ever so close to legend. Have you noticed?
How are you, Tom? You all right?
Yeah, I'm absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Excited at the moment. Excited. I was at the club yesterday. I'm so excited with what's happening at Blues at the moment.
I mean,
I can't tell you, I'm buzzing. Not just on the playing side, off the field as well. It looks absolutely amazing what they're doing at the club.
Yeah.
When you go down, all of a sudden now it's, we had under the previous owners, we had 12 years of nobody would sweep up. It was dirty. It wouldn't have a lick of paint. It was dingy. And I think that helped opposition. Now it's a proper stadium.
Yeah. There's one thing I really want to ask you, Tom, because I've been behind Blues like pretty much all the way, and my dad as well. I'm sure you can tell from my accent I'm not quite a pedigree Brummie. My dad is. Where I was born in the Black Country, but still followed the right side of.
You're a missionary. You're a Blues missionary.
Yeah. So yeah, my childhood's been pretty rough, mate.
That's the word. Yeah, listen, I grew up in Aston, okay, on the borders of Hockley and Aston, going back a long time in the old slum days between Summer Lane and Newtown Row, which is a stone's throw from Villa Park in reality.
Yeah,
and I went to St Chad's School, and it was 99.9% Villa, and there's only me and a lad called Connie Walsh. Irish lad called Connie Walsh, and by the way, we got beat up regular.
Oh dear. Yeah, so there's a massive question I want to ask you, Tom, because there's a lot of mixed reviews. Not like in a bad way, but obviously United have come to Blues. They've invested like 15 million into the stadium and everything else. To me, like you were saying earlier, like about people not sweeping up and things like that, like it is improving the stadium and the club, but also as well, it's attracting these players that are dropping down leagues to come to Blues. There's a lot of mixed views about whether they should put it towards players instead of spending it on the stadium. What's your views on that, Tom?
Well, firstly, if you throw it all at players, you've got financial fair play problems. Yeah. It's different in League One. In League, it all comes under FFP. The Premier League and and the Championship have profit and sustainability under the FFP banner and all those rules and regulations. There's a different one for League One that I've got to get my head round. But nevertheless, there are rules there. But I believe, from what I understand, that Blues will spend more on wages and players than any other team in that division, the League One. So I don't think anybody can complain, about the way the club is going. And also, why not as well as and not instead of?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Listen,
You want a club to be proud of. You want the stadium, and it looks an absolute treat. And as I say, it'll be intimidating. And already the season ticket sales show that fans have bought into it.
Yeah.
Fans have bought into it. And new supporters who haven't had a season ticket before that are buying season tickets is amazing. So I think there's a growing excitement. There's a growing feeling of this club is finally on the move. I go back to a centre half called Vince Overson.
Yeah.
Who once said that, when somebody said, Blues were in, I don't know what the phrase they used, but he said it was like, it was comatose, and it was, and it's been like that since 2011, the Carling Cup win. It's been downhill all the way. and escaping every year, and promises made, and managers coming in, but we never ever looked at it. This year we've gone down. Did I want to go down? No, if I'm honest. However, now I've had a chance to sit back and reflect. It gives the club a chance to reset.
Definitely.
Reset and now move forward on the playing side. And look at the clubs, some of them in the Premier League that were in the third division.
Yeah.
As I call it, the third division, League One, right? I think you'll find Man City were there at one time as well before their owners came in with all the dough. So I think, whilst it's a nose, I think we've got over that shock now, and we've gone, right, let's be a little bit cavalier. Let's take this club back to the Championship and then the Premier League, because trust me, promotion to the Championship will not satisfy Gary Cook and Tom Wagner. That's for certain. That's for certain. That American attitude. You play at the best, the highest level. You get nothing for coming second. If you come second, you're a first place loser. That's their mentality. And Tom Wagner, the day I met him and I sat with him at St Andrews, and I said to him, I said, look, I bet you can't wait to get him back into the Premier League. He went, back into the Premier League? That's only the first step. This is his thinking. The first step is the Premier League. Now, the plans for the new stadium, I mean, wow, I've seen them. It's frighteningly exciting. It's going to be by the HS2 and, the station. It's not going to just be about a football stadium, because there'll be a football stadium, there'll be a training ground, there'll be a stadium for the girls, there'll be all the things that go with it, the fan parks and all that. But also there'll be theatres, there'll be, like Manchester have done with the Co-op Arena, that have places for concerts. It's going to be massive.
Food and catering.
Yeah, everything. And then the other part of it, the final part, will be Stephen Knight will have his studios there for Peaky Blinders and all the other things that he does.
Yeah, it's going to be brilliant, mate. I did actually go there.
Every right to be excited.
Because I actually went there. I've done a drone video.
To the wheels. I think they started clearing it, haven't they, already?
I ain't sure, mate, to be honest, because I was going to go down and see if I could do like another drone video, because I wanted to show some of the Bluenoses that have never been to Birmingham, Wales, just how big.
Big it is.
Yeah, just how big it is, just to give, to create some more excitement, and some more positivity. And that's why I do this, Tom. Just because I love.
Listen, the hardest thing and we found this with England supporters, the hardest thing in life is to be positive, especially when things are not quite going the way you want. It's hard to remain positive. The easiest thing on this planet is to be negative, because if you say straight away, oh, this team won't win this, you're 99% going to be right, because there's only one winner. The hardest thing is to be positive, and I'm sorry, my glass is always half full. I'm half full. I'm board. I was on board with England day one. I said they'd win it, and I still believe it. And I can't believe the abuse that the manager's taken. Gareth Southgate, who's an honourable man, a really good man, and he's done a first class job. Listen, have they played well, particularly the group stages? No, and he knows that they haven't played well. But you win 5. Well, it's 6 games now, isn't it? 6 games. 6 games, right? You're unbeaten. I mean, you've got to be, and people are saying he's lucky. You can be lucky in a game. You can't be lucky over 6.
Yeah.
They've had to dig deep at times. And particularly, was it Slovakia? They were losing until they dug deep. The belief, the togetherness, the camaraderie, all those things, they dug deep and pulled it out the fire and won 2-1. That is not a negative. To me, that's a massive positive.
Yeah.
I remember going to see to Man City, and I'm pretty sure this is right, but I mean, it's a long time ago, but losing the game and winning it in the last minute when Deary had a bowler raced like a lunatic down the left-hand side and scored, in the last seconds. And the Carling Cup final.
Oh, my.
Let's be honest, Arsenal were more talented, played the better football. Does anybody talk about that or the possession stats now? No. They talk about the results, and nobody will convince me that day Blues were lucky. Not a chance in a million years. If that was England, people would be saying, oh, how lucky are you when the keeper collided with his own mat? Then they didn't. Blues fans weren't saying we were lucky then. Obafemi Martins was on the spot to put it in. Greatest day I can remember as a Blues fan.
Well,
so
Tom, there's one thing I want to ask you, Tom, because you've just said it's the greatest thing now. Just quickly, I'm 32, so I've never seen Blues that I can remember because I was 2 years old when Blues were in the third tier. But this, maybe because it's nostalgia, but this, to me, memory-wise, is probably bigger than the Carling Cup. And you'll probably think, well, hang on a minute. Even though the Cup is obviously one of the biggest things in Blues history, but your reaction to this, mate, when I watched it on telly, was just something else.
the promotion, loved it.
Yeah. Your voice, mate, like how it was like breaking, that you just spoke 1,000 words through all us Bluenoses. Thinking, it's just oh, mate.
Listen to Kevin Broadus. Listen to Kevin Broadus, my pundit, who's more a player, a captain, a coach. That was amazing. And to be fair, before that, I was going, they're not going to let the kid take it, are they?
Yeah, I know. Oh, mate, it's brilliant. But that was one of my, I was like 10 years old there, and my YouTube picture is actually me wearing that top as a kid. So that was like my strongest point of Blues, like I've seen Blues get into the Premier League, but like I've never seen Blues in the third tier before. My dad's really excited to get going. He's been there before, like yourself.
Barry Fry.
Yeah.
Barry, I remember.
Yeah. Great days.
Won the double and got him up, and it was like Paul Tate scoring at Huddersfield, Paul Tate scoring at Wembley, getting relegated. Even when they got relegated, they chaired the manager off. After getting relegated, they chaired the manager off at Tranmere, Barry Fry. He thought they were going to lynch him, but they chaired him off. It was like, I mean, listen, I know I'm biased, but this is a very special club.
Yeah.
I think it's special because it is a working class club, no question. And I've said this to Gary Cook, who, by the way, Gary Cook knows exactly what it is. He's from Kings Heath.
Yeah.
He's a Blues fan. He played for Bromsgrove Rovers, a good footballer as well, Gary Cook. All these things combining together show you how special it is. Yeah. Trevor Francis, rest his soul, a great friend of mine. And we often we went out for breakfast every other week. And we'd sit and talk about it. And he won the European Cup with Forest. But he only ever called Blues my club. Ever called Blues my club. It gets into you. How many players live around here?
Oh, no.
Still, they can't. It gets into your blood. I spoke to Lucas Jukovic recently.
Yeah.
And it's got into his blood. He's played for a lot of clubs. But it gets into your blood. It's special. The fans are special. And I'll just tell you a little story if I can.
Yeah, it's fine.
I was with Steve Bruce in his office. We were playing Man U in the Premier League. And before the game, I used to go and see Steve Bruce. And he was in there, Sir Alex Ferguson. And he was saying, I've told my players, this is the most hostile place you will come to. Birmingham City, St Andrews, he's talking about. And remember, he added on, he went, and remember, I've been to Galatasaray. That's what exact words were to me. And he said, and I was laughing, but he meant it, Blues fans make a difference. St Andrews is not a welcoming place for opposing teams. I don't mean fighting and nonsense. The atmosphere they create, the hostility they create of backing their team. I just think it's amazing. And that is a massive plus point for Chris Davis this season. Massive plus point.
I'm glad you said that, Tom, because of the open house as well, because of what Tom Wagner was saying. You was there, wasn't you? I watched it live on the Blues app. And even he said, didn't he, the proof is there. Every time that Blues have sold it and the support's been there, Blues won every game, didn't they?
Win the game. Yeah. Listen, do you remember the Carling Cup, the semi-final? They were trailing 3-1 to was it 3-1 to West Ham? Whatever they were trailing. And they fought back. That crowd roared them on and got an extra 5 to 10% out of every single player.
Yeah.
I won't believe anything else. They can tell me this. The sports scientists can tell me what they're like. I know the fans got the more out of the players that day with the atmosphere.
Yeah. Do you go to the games as well, Tom?
I never miss. No, I do all the pre-match pressers.
Yeah.
For TalkSport.
Yeah.
Speak to the managers, but I go to the games and I interview the star of the day in the changing room bar, and occasionally I do the game and I do the post-match pressers for TalkSport. But generally now I don't do as much of that as I used to because frankly I've got so much going on. I can't do it, and I don't want to. I've moved past that now. I'm doing lots more stuff. I do a lot of other sports and stuff, but I'm at almost every single Blues game, and I just something about walking into St Andrews. It's been a big part of my life since I first went there when my dad took me in 1956.
Really,
right, for my birthday, and we played West Brom and we won. And I'll never forget. And so Bobby Robson summed it up perfectly because it was just like that. Because my dad used to be on the Cop, right? But we used to go in the M-Line street end. So we'd go in and you walk all up these steps and then you walk out and all you see is the grass and the pitch. I'll never forget that day. And it was amazing. And we won. And remember, that was the year Blues got to the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
They were sixth in the top flight. And I thought, this is the club for me. How little did I know.
It is worth it.
I wanted to go to Wembley, but my dad only got 2 tickets. He went with my brother Frank, and he said to me, "Dad, I'll take you next time." I'm still waiting.
So you went to the open house, didn't you?
I hosted it. I was host for the open house twice. Yes.
So I know it's history now, Tom, but I do want to talk about it just quickly because obviously you was there on the first one when we took on Wayne Rooney. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that just quickly, but also as well, there's like a bit of thought on whether he was part and parcel of the impact to seal Blues' fate in terms of the relegation. So I'd just love to hear your thoughts on that.
I'm glad you brought it up because I've got strong views about it.
Yeah.
Nobody will say it was a good appointment now in hindsight because it wasn't. Right? That's been proven.
Yeah.
What I will say is that if, as the fans on social media keep saying, he lost the dressing room, the players didn't like him, etc., etc. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's what they were saying.
Yeah.
If that was true, right, he left them out of the bottom 3 with 60 points to play for.
Yeah.
Now, those players could have proved a real point, couldn't they? We've got rid of the manager. Let's show them now. Did they? No. 4 managers have all said to me, and I don't mind admitting it, they've all said to me, we need help. This squad ain't good enough. All 4. Yeah. John Eustace said it. John Eustace said it. Absolutely. And I still speak to John. John said it. Rooney said it. Tony Mowbray said it. And Gary Rowett said it. That they didn't say they didn't have good players. They said the squad wasn't good enough to do what was necessary and what to win. And I think now Chris Davis is showing that he's getting in, and I love him because I was out at Cannock. You were at Cannock, weren't you, that time? You heard him.
My dad was there. Hang on, I'll show you the photo.
Well, he must have told you then.
Here he is.
Chris
you, my dad.
Yeah. Then that's him. God, blimey, Nick, I remember him as well. We had a good old chat as well, good old tune, mate. But Chris Davis made it absolutely clear.
Yeah.
That the first and foremost, hard work, desire, commitment. Those things, he's not asking for them. It's a given. You don't give them, you don't play. Now, he didn't talk about ability because I think at this level, we accept players are going to have ability.
Yeah.
Right? When you're a professional footballer at Birmingham, you've got ability. Whether it's defensive ability or attacking, creative, you've got ability. But he said, and the last manager to say that to me, speak like that, was Ron Saunders, who said, you've got to win the battle to earn the right to play. Win the physical battle to earn the right to play. And I think that's what Chris is saying. What you do is you outwork them. Yeah. You outwork them and earn the right to impose your creativity and your ability. You can't. again, I'm sorry to sound like an old miserable what's it, but I'm a big ice hockey fan. And
Yeah.
I'll quote this, which is stuck with me all my life. Don Cherry, the boss of the Boston Bruins, they won the Stanley Cup or got to the final, whatever it was, and they beat all the big teams. And he said in his book, and I'll never forget it, he said, never underestimate the power of desire over ability.
Yeah.
He said, you want both. But if you've only got to have one, if you can only have one, go for desire, because ability without desire is a waste of time.
Yeah.
And that's why working with former Blues centre half, Dave Barnett, at his soccer camp, and we were having a little thing there, and I gave him a slogan: ability is never enough. And he put it on all his posters. Ability is not enough.
Yeah.
You need the effort, the commitment, and not just hard work, by the way, because you can run around and get a sweat on. But desire is the key here. Yeah. Desire is when there's a 60-40 ball in your opponent's favour, but you win it. That's the desire I'm talking about. And I think when you have that ability and desire, and I think most fans, Blues fans, will accept being outplayed, because that can happen in any level.
Yeah.
But what Blues fans will never accept is being outfought.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I always said about last season, Tom, like with some of the results and stuff. I can take a loss if there's heart and passion there, like fighting for the shirt and stuff. But it was just a roller coaster last season, wasn't it? It was
the way you lose. It's the way you lose.
Yeah.
I tell you what, if you hold a white flag up and surrender, I ain't having it. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how many step overs you can make. I don't care how much you can do. If you surrender, if you don't track back, the biggest crime in football, in my opinion, if you don't track your man and deny the opposition goal-scoring opportunities at every opportunity, then I'm sorry, I don't care how much ability you've got. Don't matter to me. I want to see effort and commitment first. But I also like players with ability. Do you know what? It's interesting. Barcelona under Pep Guardiola was sensational.
Yeah.
Tell me a team anywhere in the world that worked harder than them. Nobody. They had all the ability, Iniesta, Messi, but nobody worked harder, because he gave them an instruction. Losing the ball's not a problem, Guardiola told them.
Yeah.
You've got to win it back within 10 seconds.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
That's the key. So if it's good enough for Guardiola and Barcelona and Manchester City, hard work's good enough for anybody.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see any more players go this season, Tom, you think, or
that's up to Chris. I would imagine so. I would imagine certain. He'll have a look at them now, and I would imagine he's already said, "Look, he has a plan, and the plan is hard work, ability, hard work, commitment, desire, all the things I've just mentioned." That is definitely made that clear at Cannock.
Yeah.
If you don't fit into that, I don't think you'll be around.
Yeah.
But I think he gives everybody a chance to do it. But if they won't be around, mate. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a few more go. I definitely know they're working hard on players coming in.
Yeah.
It's a bit slow at the moment, but I think with the Euros, a lot of agents and that are out at the Euros. So it might be difficult to make things happen. I don't know. But I would expect, and I think Chris said at Cannock that he expected this week to be a few more coming in, but I think they're off today to Austria.
Yes.
Yeah, to play the pre-season, which was delayed from yesterday.
Yeah, I heard it on the radio on the way to work that it'd been delayed as well. Bloody typical Blues again, isn't it?
Yeah, but that ain't Blues' fault.
I know. Typical Blues.
The plane ain't ready. But listen, at the end of the day, I can't tell you how excited I am about this season.
Yeah, nice.
With all the talk, it's about winning.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody kid you about anything else, about entertainment. I'd love to see Blues playing like Barcelona or Real Madrid and winning every game.
Yeah.
But if it's one or the other, I'll take winning every game. I don't care. That when you kick off at 3:00, or in the case of football today at 5:30 or 12:30, whatever time it is, when you kick off, your objective is to win the game.
Yes.
Now you have to do what you have to do to win. And what surprises me is very rarely does anybody ever talk about the opposition. I look on I've got a huge social media connection, and nobody ever talks about the opposition. All they talk about is we, Birmingham,
England,
whoever, didn't do. They don't talk about what the opposition do to stop you.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's a key thing. The opposition, they've seen your videos of your team. They know what your strengths are. They'll set up to nullify them. And I mean, I know that a lot of people disagreed with me on my Birmingham Mail column this week because I said I didn't accept that England were in the easier part of the draw. They were in with teams that weren't as good as the teams in the other side, but that don't make it easier. That makes it different. It don't make it easier. It makes it different because you play against Spain and Portugal. They play an open game, and that might suit England. That open game we saw last night. They were far more on the front foot, especially in the first.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
that was because of the way Holland played.
Yeah,
but you come up against Slovakia, Slovenia. These teams, they have got such a defence, and they are hoping to take it to extra time and penalties if they have to, or maybe nick a goal on the counter. That is hard work to break down. Now, that's not me saying England played well, because they didn't. There was a lot more to come from them. But when I look at it, I ticked it off this morning. First objective, qualify, done. Second objective, get through the group, done. Third objective, get through to the final, done. I mean, he keeps beating these objectives, and yet he keeps getting at the stadium glasses thrown at him. These plastic glasses we beat. I mean, what are we? Is that what we are about, England fans? Is that us? I ain't having it.
It's mad, isn't it?
I ain't having it.
The same as well, Tom. Fabio Capello, Sven Gordon Eriksson. He's took it to a whole new level, hasn't he, Southgate? In the last few tournaments, hasn't he?
You can't convince me that. I mean, this team has got some very good players. There's no question this team has got some really good players, and some top players as well. Bellingham and Foden, top players. But for me, these teams in the past under Sven and Capello, have a look at those teams with Gerrard, Lampard, Owen, Rooney. For goodness sake, they had top players and couldn't get anywhere near it.
Oh no.
Now we've got a manager. It's an interesting thought, because everybody's talking about subs. Here's an interesting thought that I heard, and I heard it about a year ago, and it didn't resonate with me because I'm old-fashioned. I don't talk about low block and high block. I talk about closing down, and I still got the old speak. But nevertheless, and transition, all these, they're just new words. That's all they are. There's nothing different. It's been going on for years. So somebody said to me, because we talked about substitutions. Now, when you come to England and they've got, everybody's a sub, aren't they? Everybody else in the squad's a sub.
Yeah.
So you've got options. You can make a change because somebody's tired, or you can make a change to change the game. And that's not substitutions. That is game finishers. Yeah. So people have said, why has he took him off? He don't look tired. He's took him off because he's done his job. Now he's sending somebody on to finish the game. Last night was a great example.
Yeah.
Watkins came on, the game finisher, finished it.
Yeah, brilliant goal, weren't it, as well, Tom?
Oh, and
he's on.
Listen, I don't give a monkey who he plays for. He's got an England shirt on, right? Yeah. And for me, I've interviewed him a few times. He's the most humble man you'll ever meet. And remember, he'd been through the mill. He'd been through as a kid, as a young pro. He was sent out. It didn't work for him. He was sent to Western Supermare to play in the Conference South, or whatever it was. I mean, he's been through the mill. He knows how fortunate he is. And he is the most honest guy you'll meet. He is a hard-working footballer. And whatever he lacks, he makes up for in desire and commitment. And he can finish, by the way. Look at the goals he's got in the Premier League. Look at the goals he's got for England when he's got the opportunity. But already people are going, told you, he should have started him. Who's to say if he starts, he scores that goal?
Yeah.
Because he comes on when defenders are tired. When defenders maybe half a yard less pace than they had at the start of the game, and he took advantage. Yeah. So who's to say this? And now everybody's got to start him. He's a clown if he doesn't start him. I mean, I added them all up. People were saying, Gareth Southgate's useless. He's a clown. If he doesn't start X, he's a fool. If he doesn't start Y, he's a clown. If he doesn't start Z, he's an absolute idiot. I had all this, so I added them all up. To please everybody, all the Monday morning managers, Gareth would have to start with 18 players. I mean, you can't make it up. I have no problem with people's opinions. I have no problem with people saying, I think he should be playing him. That's fine. But when you say he has to play him, and if he doesn't, he's a clown, that's not an opinion.
That's abuse.
You're all of a sudden now becoming the best manager the planet's ever known, and that's nonsense.
Yeah.
You know, have an opinion, and this is where it comes to it. When you have opinions, when opinions turn into expectations, if you expect England to win a tournament, you hope that, and dream and pray that they do. But when you expect it, if they lose in the final or the semi-final, you're actually angry and disappointed because your expectation levels were set. And all I'm saying is, you know, it ain't as easy as it sounds. And I didn't realise social media had so many great managers, so many great coaches, so many great players, so many great strikers. I didn't realise. And yet they're all sitting at home, you know, spouting at the TV, like I do, by the way. I do the same. I go, I'm no different. I go, what on earth? Get a grip. But I don't go on social media saying he's a clown.
Yeah.
Or he's an idiot, or that player's a muppet, or that player. You know, the curse of the devil, by the way, social media. I have to use it. We all have to use it. It's the modern way to communicate. But do I like it? At times, no.
Yeah.
But that's only my opinion.
We'll be all right, Tom.
Yeah.
Same with Blues, you know, just trust the process. There is something else I wanted to ask you.
There's a phrase that I've heard a few times, trust the process.
Trust the process, mate. Up the Blues.
I love what they've done, though. Tom Wagner has come in as the head of Knighthead. Yeah. And remember, it's Knighthead's money, investors' money.
Yeah.
And what I like about Tom Wagner is, for him, typically American, there's no first or second, it's first. Yeah. They want to be winners. They are winners. Americans are all about winning.
Yeah.
And I love that about him. Gary Cook, for me, doesn't get the credit he deserves. All people talk about is Wayne Rooney. Gary Cook, as you have a look at the stadium, if you get a chance to go down, he has driven this. He drives them people like you wouldn't believe. He's driven it. He has driven the whole thing because he says to me, I've done it before at Man City. He is driving this club on.
Yeah.
And he gets a lot of abuse, and I don't get it. All about Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, maybe it's because of the Wayne Rooney thing I was going to say, but then again, you know.
I told you, when Wayne Rooney left, there's 60 points to play for, and we weren't in the bottom three. How is that Wayne Rooney's fault?
Yeah.
4 managers have all said the squad's not good enough. I haven't heard that. They've said it to me. So I'm not just spreading a rumour. Every single one of their managers has said to me, this squad ain't good enough and needs help. Needs help. We need new. So I know. And yet the players get very little criticism. They turn on the manager. John Eustace did a great job.
Yeah, he did.
You know, and I loved him. He's really become a good friend of mine, John. He grew up listening as well. And he was at Blues, of course, as a kid till Sullivan closed the academy or the School of Excellence. Then he went to Coventry. But we have a chat, and he's a local lad as well. He's a Brummie. So I beat him all the time. But even he knows that he had the 2 wins, West Brom and Huddersfield.
Yeah.
Have a look at the record before that. So he got the 2 wins, and I get that. Then in comes Wayne Rooney. Wrong appointment. Disaster. Then you look at Tony Mowbray, and Tony's a wonderful manager at the level. Unbelievable. And even he was better than Wayne Rooney, but the damage for me was the fact that the players couldn't cope.
Yeah.
He got something a bit more out of them. Gary Rowett got a little bit more out of them. But for me, it's about the players. And I think you need good players. And I don't think we had the quality of player that we needed, in my opinion. And that's, I'm not saying they weren't talented. I'm saying that the squad as we saw it wasn't strong enough.
Yeah. There's one question I want to ask you as well, Tom, about Deon Sanderson. For me, my personal opinion, I thought he played really well under John Eustace, but
he did.
Looking at it from your point of view, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think that John Eustace's departure had an impact on Deon Sanderson for the remainder of the season?
I don't know unless I ask Deon Sanderson that.
Yeah.
But what I do know is we played him alongside a player that I thought really struggled for Blues, Ayew.
Yeah. Yeah, me as well.
I thought he struggled. And I think that took the shine off Sanderson's game. And he needed somebody alongside him. And I think that would have been better for him.
Yeah.
I think Sanderson is probably better in a three-man centre-half, a three-man, if I'm truthful. But, you know, we had situations where we couldn't find that right partner. Who was the one that moved away?
Kevin Long.
Yeah, and I thought he did all right alongside him.
Yeah, me.
So it isn't quite. It is, you know, if he's in there and he's continually having to cover or look at something happening. Listen, Ayew. If you look at Ayew's talent and ability on the ball, it was fantastic, but there was a mistake in him. He wasn't a good defender. Only in my opinion, he wasn't a defender that you could rely on for 90 minutes every game. And I think that affected Sanderson's game. He also had his problems off the pitch, as we know. But I think he's got something, Sanderson.
Yeah.
I think he's got something about him. I think he can be a good defender. Let's see what Chris Davis does with him.
I'm excited.
Because Chris Davis will not be... I don't think there'll be any favours done to anybody. I mean that sincerely. He's a young-looking man. He's got a great smile. I think there's a ruthless streak under there. I do.
That's what they need, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's been at the big clubs as well. He's been, and I took the option of ringing one or two people I know because I didn't know him. I'm being truthful. I'm not clever enough to know everybody, and I didn't know who he was. So I rang people. I rang people in Scotland. I rang people there, and what I got back was, don't underestimate how much of a part he played in the success at Celtic and other clubs with Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah.
Now that really made me feel better. I do think, if I'm honest, you know, the step up from number 2 to number 1 is always difficult because as number 2, you're the one helping the manager.
Yeah.
When it's a lonely place, number 1, because when things are going wrong and you look around, you're on your own. So, you know, but he looks strong enough to me to deal with it. He looks strong enough to deal with it, and he's got a fixed way. He wants front foot football. First of all, hard work, desire, and commitment, but he wants to put the pressure on the opposition. He wants to play in the opposition's half on the front foot, you know. And I think sounds exciting, you know. Good luck to him. But at the end of the day, you and I are not privileged to know what they're doing at the training ground or anything. We'll see that first game. We'll see what happens that first game, because that's when it starts for real. I don't think it's going to be as easy as people think, this League One.
Yeah.
There are a lot of teams there that have been big teams, the Boltons,
Reading,
the Readings.
Colson,
It's good. There's going to be some right tough battles.
Yeah.
And the teams that aren't big, the smaller clubs, with all due respect to them, they're going to come to St Andrews and think, wow, this is like Wembley. Yeah. So they'll raise their game. So for all those people who think it's a stroll in the park, and I listen, where was I? I can't think where I was. Wherever I was, there was Blues fans there chatting away. I was doing a thing with Emil Heskey, and they were chatting away, and they were talking. Yeah, I think we'll win it easy. You know, we'll get. And I've gone. I didn't get involved in the conversation, but I'm listening to these 3 guys talking about how easy it was going to be, and I'm thinking, that's what I'm talking about. Now their expectations are they'll walk it. So if all of a sudden Blues have a couple of draws and they'll get, because their expectation level was through the roof, they will be angry straight away. Set your expectation level at a realistic level. That's for me has always been the case. Do I think Blues will get promoted? Yes. Do I think they could win the league? Yes. Will it be easy? No. And to be fair, as long as they get out, I don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't, you know. I've never been anything other than winning the game. I'd love to see us play like Brazil or Man City. But until we start spending £1 billion on players like Man City, then I'm afraid if we buy people like Rodri and Silva and De Bruyne and Harley, then yes, we can have a good old shout up. We haven't got that. So let's see where we are and battle away. And I think it's going to be an exciting season. If I'm honest.
And now, I'm looking forward to creating memories with my dad as well. You know,
that's great. You can go with your old man. He took me to my games, and towards the end, I was fortunate enough to get him to Wembley and stuff. Thanks to, I'm talking about the Leyland Daft. Thanks to Savish Kumar, I got him in the Royal Box to watch Blues. And that was that. Like, I know what you mean. This has been handed down to me. My dad came down from Glasgow as a Celtic supporter, right? Scotland Celtic supporter. And when he got to Birmingham, he could go to Villa Park, because you remember where we were living in Aston. He could go to Villa Park, or he could choose Blues. He chose Blues because they had Scottish winger, and that was enough for me. That was enough for me. He had a Scottish winger, and he decided, or Scottish players, and decided that would be the club for me and him. And when we went there, and I fell in love with it big time. And I can't imagine supporting anybody else. I've got to support my Celtic because my dad and his Scottish connections and all my family up there, and Bertie Auld, of course, all them sort of connections. But Blues for me, whoever they play, I want them to win. Simple. Simple. I think.
You think the expectations are high for Chris Davis this season? Like, with a lot of fans expecting Blues to get promoted.
Yeah,
it'd be gutted if Blues didn't get promoted. Tom,
I don't think I heard Chris at Cannock, and he was saying, he never once talked about not getting promoted. He never talked about it. But I will add a caveat. It depends on who the players come in, because he's a great coach, and I know that from what people have said. He's not a magician.
Yeah.
You've got to give him the tools to work with. And I know because I spoke to Gary Cook yesterday, they are working hard to give him the tools, in other words, the players that he needs and every other facility he needs to become the best. I mean, I was at Blues yesterday, and this is weird. I was sitting with Gary Cook overlooking the pitch, and I was talking away, and he said, "Look at this." And there's a guy out there, and he's got this, I don't know what the machine is, but the ball drops and they measure the bounce. This is all part of the analysis for when so that the coach has every single item, and the players know that if the ball's in the air, it'll bounce, and this is how it'll bounce. I mean, what level of detail is that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was just absolutely. And to be fair, I think it's about the pitch and making sure the pitch is the best possible way it can be, and that's what they were doing. But all those sort of things, nothing is left to chance anymore at the highest level in the pro game. And I know Blues are in League One, but everything about Blues is Premier League in terms of the way they're going about things.
Yeah,
trust me. The new screens, and all that sort of stuff, all those sort of things. One of the biggest problems David Sullivan and co left was they left all the old stuff underneath the stands.
Yeah.
Right, which caused a problem. In fact, it did cause a problem, if you remember, when they started work, because they had to dig it out because the metal was rusting. All that sorted out. They've cleared and that's been a massive job to clear all the rocks and cement and boulders and all that sort of stuff out. And now they're going to have a bar under the Kop, the longest bar in Europe. It's going to be a great fan experience. I just love it. But at the end of the day,
anybody go in there, Tom, or is it just?
I don't know, mate. I'm not privy to that sort of information, but I would imagine so, because up above is going to be all the sponsors and all that stuff. So this is a bar. I don't know, if I'm honest, but it's a good question. I will ask and find out.
The only reason I asked is because my dad's a season ticket holder, but I work shifts, so there's no point me getting a season ticket because I'd miss out on half the games.
Yeah. Have a look. There's a lot of season ticket holders. Forget the directors and the sponsors guests. There's a lot of seats in the Cup, aren't there? Just normal season ticket seats.
Yeah.
They'll be in there. Of course, I'm guaranteeing that would be right. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, all that's going on. the fan park. They're busy doing the fan park by the George, which is going to be amazing. So all of this is going on.
I heard that got delayed. Is that true, Tom? That something got delayed with Dudley? Birmingham Council.
I don't know, mate. That I do not know, and I won't hazard a guess. I don't know. I can't imagine. I would, as I said, I was at the club yesterday, and I was talking to Gary Cook, and there was never anything negative at all. But then maybe, I don't know. I mean, that's another thing I can ask them. But I know that they're working. I mean, yesterday, and they've got it so close. I mean, trying to get everything ready. It'll be done for the start of the season. But remember, they've got a game on the 24th of July, the Rangers game, which is in memory of Trevor Francis.
Yeah, that's going to be brilliant, isn't it, as well?
Well, it is because as well as that, I'm working. I'm chairman of the committee that's getting a statue erected for him, which will be in place before the start of the following season.
Yeah,
in front of the Kop, and it's going to be amazing, and rightly so as well, and rightly so. Our greatest ever player, and whereas before, and I know other clubs have had problems. Other clubs have had problems. Oh, we've got to raise the money. Oh, we've got to have fundraising things for this, for that. These owners have gone, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Gary, but not the owners, Gary Cook, who's running the club, he went, we'll do it. So, that's their commitment to our history. Not, well, can we have some fundraising? We'll do it.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it, Tom? But I'm like you, mate. I'm so excited.
I'm buzzing.
I just can't wait to get going, mate. These owners mean business, don't they?
Well, I've got some fantastic memories from Blues. The Worthington Cup final was a great day.
Yeah.
I mean, Emile Heskey played against Blues that day.
I know.
So
I
had a right row with him about David Ellery and the foul on Andy Johnson. To be fair, but nevertheless, to get there was fantastic. Don't laugh, but the Leyland Daff, I loved it.
Yeah,
I love the Leyland Daff. Not for you, but I was privileged to stay with the team with Colin Tatham.
Yeah,
we stayed at the hotel with the team, which wasn't a hotel; it was Reading College. It was a college, and we had such a great time with the lads, Sturridge and all the rest of it, and John Gale. And let me tell you, I've got great stories about that time, but the one that sticks out is they were having shooting practice in the college grounds, and there's a wall about 12 feet high. No, maybe even taller than that, probably 15 feet high. And I keep telling John Gale couldn't hit a cow's backside with a banjo that day, right?
Yeah.
He went over and he denies it, but I've got a photograph of him climbing over the wall to get the ball back. Okay, so I've got proof. But on the day, what about that overhead kick?
Yeah.
At Wembley. Wow. Even winning the Leyland Daff Cup, I was privileged, and I'll never forget these things that have made my life so great. They allowed me. Lou Macari allowed me to do my commentary from the bench.
Yeah.
I sat next to the subs at Wembley. I had to sneak in with a tracksuit with my headphones in a bucket. I'm on the official list, I think, as a number 2 physio or something.
That's brilliant.
I mean, it was just a wonderful day.
Yeah.
And they won it, and it was just amazing. Then the auto windscreen, Barry Fry came in and livened the place up. I mean, we needed Barry Fry at that time.
Yeah. My dad loved him.
He brought such a. I mean,
he still loves Blues now, doesn't he?
I mean, I remember my first interview. I said, live on air it was. Karen Brady brought him up to BRMB's point, and I went, "As what you bring into the club?" He went, "I'm a lucky bee." I can't use the word on your webcam, but he said, "I'm a lucky bee," and I went, "Oh!" And the next thing, they won the first. I think that where was the game where Kenny Lowe scored? Was it West Brom? Kenny Lowe scored. Anyway, the non-league Glenn Oddley was. Barry came up to do the interview after the game, and as he's walking toward me, he shouts, "I told you I was a lucky bee." And that's the level of hilarity he brought to the club. But he also brought a togetherness. The players, the club, the fans running up and down the touchline when Blues scored, and peeing in the corners to try and get rid of the curse. the man changed, and then came in, our greatest player, Trevor, who got us to 3 playoff finals, couldn't get us over the line, and got us to the Worthington Cup final, couldn't get us over the line. Although David Ellery had a lot to do with that. Steve Bruce, amazing, got us promoted. Alex McLeish, Carling Cup and promotion back to the Premier League.
Yeah,
great players that we've had, and Scott Dan and Roger Johnson at the back who were awesome. Ben Foster in goal, and Mike Taylor, of course, as part of it. Barry Ferguson, the job he did in midfield, and Robbie Savage was amazing. Nicola Zigic got some massive goals for us. I mean, I've just talked about the great games. What about Bolton to stay up?
I know, mate.
Relegated.
And he watched that the other day as well.
Paul Caddis headed it in, and Zigic had scored the first and then won the header. I mean, and Lee Clark running up the mate. How I've not died a heart attack with this club, I've no idea. But those are the ups and downs. So that when you get a Carling Cup win, you love them. You love it. And it was a day I'll never forget. And I remember when the goal went in and the whistle went, Colin Tatum, who travelled everywhere with me, and John McCarthy never stopped laughing. I don't know why, but maybe it's because of my commentary. I don't know. But I looked at Colin Tatum and he looked at me as if to say, we know. We've been there and seen it and been through all the misery. And now look at us. We've beaten Arsenal in the final of the Carling Cup. I can't tell you how that made me feel. I can't tell you. It's hard for me to explain it. Wow. I was in tears. I thought about my dad. I mean, this is Blues fans for you. This is Blues fans, right?
Yeah.
Before the game, in the build-up, and I listened back. It's when 11. How long is it? 15 years, whatever it is. I listened back to the whole thing. My ex-producer sent it me. David Salt sent me the whole program. So I listened back to it. In the first hour, we had on Bertie Auld, who played in the league in '63.
Yeah.
We had Alex Govan on, who brought Keep Right On. I mean, we had the most amazing build-up. We had the game, which was sensational. But before the game, I sent my reporter, Adam Bridge, into the crowd to get some interview. And I remember saying, let's cross to Adam Bridge, who's with the fans, Adam. And he went, I can't remember the name, so forgive me. But he went, I'm with John. And John, what a day. Yeah, it's wonderful. We can't wait. I'm here with me, mate. And Adam went, well, where is he? Is he gone for the pies? And this guy picked up an urn. He said, no, he passed away, and I promised I'd bring him to Wembley. It broke me up.
Yeah.
I sent him out the next time. Let's cross to Adam. Adam, he said, I'm with a young lad now. Hello, I can't remember the name. So, hello, young man. Oh, what's your name? James. Oh, brilliant, James. What do you think? Oh, Blues are going to win. What about that pitch? I bet you. Do you play football? Yes, I play football. I bet you'd love to play on Wembley. And the kid said, I did last week for England schoolboys. You couldn't make this up. You couldn't make it up. Walking up the Wembley Way and seeing fans dressed in kilts in honour of Alex McLeish. Me and John McCarthy stopping with the fans and just having chats and photos. I loved every single minute of that day. And
even the songs you sing as well, Tom. There's nothing like it. He's the mate. Every game I get goosebumps on there. Like every time I'm in St Andrews, mate, I get goosebumps every single time.
My dad was a big Harry Lauder fan anyway, and he taught me to sing "Keep Right On." My dad.
Right.
And the thing is, he never told me how tired and weary I'd get, or how long the bleeding road was, to be honest. But nevertheless, it stirs me when I hear it.
Yeah, mate.
Funny enough, I was listening to a program not long ago on I can't remember what station it was, radio. It was one of the talk stations somewhere, and it was played, not to do with blues, but just played. And I went, wow, it's an iconic song. And let me tell you, in the dark hours of World War II, in the darkest hours, if you read your history, in the dark hours of World War II, in his bunker, Winston Churchill, remember after Dunkirk and all, it looked like the Germans were going to invade, and we were all in his bunker thinking about what to do. To inspire himself, he played Keep Right On. Winston Churchill to inspire himself, and that's it. That's what it is. It's an inspiring song.
Song,
Though the way be long, let your heart be strong. Keep right on to the end. And I think it's the greatest football anthem. I don't care about You'll Never Walk Alone. It's the greatest, and I love it when blues fans are singing it in full voice. You can't help but choke up, you know.
Mate, every time, every single time, mate. I always look around the stadium when we sing it as well. I take it all in. It's just, it blows me away.
There's a lot of people, owners in the past who've said, "Oh no, let's change. Let's get them more up to date." Why? It's our song.
Yeah.
It's our song. You'll never get Liverpool or Celtic fans not singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." You'll never get Newcastle fans not playing the Bladen Races, which is theirs. You know what I'm saying? It's our song. Yeah. It's our song, and I love it. And every kid should be taught it. I think it should be on the school curriculum.
Yeah, I've got an 8 and 6-year-old, and they sing it on the way to school now, Tom.
Have you? Have you got him singing it? I'm loving it. Listen, but it's a great message for life, for your lad, and for the players.
Yeah.
You're 2-0 down, half time. The way be long, let your heart be strong, keep right on to the end. We saw it with England, Slovakia. They kept right on to the end. They dug deep, and they got 2 goals. They didn't get 2 goals because they were lucky. They got 2 goals because they never stopped believing. They never stopped believing they could do it. And I think that's, for me, that's a message. It's a wonderful time to be a Blues fan, I think so anyway. And listen, with all due respect, it's easy to be a Villa fan. It's easy to be a Manchester City fan. It's easy to be a Spurs fan with all those trophies. It's bloody hard work being a Blues fan at times.
It is. Isn't it?
But I tell you what, once it's in your blood, it's in your blood.
Yeah.
And I think, I get upset when I walk around town and I see kids in Barcelona shirts, in Manchester United shirts, in Manchester City shirts with names on the back. And this is what, saturation on Sky TV has done. They've got kids now who only want to see Premier League football. And for me, thankfully, it was my dad. It was my dad that made me a Blue Nose. Not what I saw on telly. With no tellies then, but it was just my dad took me, and I went. And you should Google Bobby Robson's poem about what is a football. Just Google it, and in fact, if you've got a second.
Yeah. I'm in no rush, Tom. I'm just more concerned about you for your time scale. So now you're really busy.
No, I am, but I'm loving it. So let me just because I can, and apologies to anybody watching or listening, because I do ramble and I get excited about things. So let me just get this up here. Let me just get this here.
The Blues fans watch this, Tom, so they're going to love this, mate. This podcast.
Well, I hope so. I am a bit opinionated, but I've never been. Mind you, I've stuck with Gareth Southgate when everybody wasn't. So I'm frightened to stand my corner. And if I think you're wrong, I don't give a monkey's what people are going to say. Right, here we go. Right now, let me just go. Oh dear. Desktop. Right. It's such an iconic thing. I really should read it out. But just talk. You ask me something else while I'm doing this.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Carry on, and then I'll read it because every football fan should read this.
The Cannock Blues meeting.
Yes,
Tom. Have you got anything that you could share to some of the Blues fans that wasn't able to attend, or Blues fans that don't live around there that would have missed out on anything?
Well, I think what came across to me from John Clark and Chris Davis was positivity.
Yeah,
I thought the positivity about Chris Davis was so excited and positive about things, and he laid out what he expects, what he demands, and what he won't accept. He laid them out, and he also said as well that he was going to talk to Spurs because about the possibility of loaning players, because he said that it's hold up at the moment because a lot of the Spurs players are away playing in Euros or in America. So when they have a tour or games, they have to play youngsters, younger players that aren't in that first team. So he says it'll be difficult till those players come back from the major tournaments. So I mean, that was for me a big thing. John Clark talked non-stop about fan. They are concerned about fan engagement. That is so important. Really? Yeah, fan engagement is a massive part. And he said, John Clark made it very clear, you know, the fan experience, the fan engagement, the work they're doing with the community now.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it's not a separate thing. We're all part of a community, all of us. The community is us. What Birmingham City are doing is saying we're going to be part of that community. We're going to help the community. And the work that they're doing already is amazing. Let me just find this now. No, I'm determined because it's so important.
I'm really excited to get going, mate.
I've got it, mate. I've got it. Let me read this to you now.
Yeah, that's fine.
What is a club in any case? Not the buildings or the directors or the people who are paid to represent it. It's not the television contracts, the get-out clauses, the marketing departments or the executive boxes. It's the noise, the passion, the feeling of belonging, the pride in your city, right? He says it's the small boy clambering up the stadium steps for the very first time, gripping his dad's hand, gawping at that hallowed stretch of turf beneath him, and without being able to do a thing about it, falling in love. That's football. That is football. What is a football club? That's a football club. That's a football club because it's part of our history. It's part of my history. It's part of my grandson's history. You know, all those sort of things. And it's a feeling of belonging. It gave me a sense of belonging in a poor area. And let me tell you, I mean, I'm talking poor. The slum areas of Blues in the 50s. It gave me a sense of belonging, a feeling of belonging. And I think football clubs do that. And I think that's important. So whereas, you know, all the marketing, the sponsors, they're all important because they pave the way. But let us never forget what a club is about. Because if we have no fans, there are no clubs.
Yeah.
Fans are vital.
True, yeah.
Fans are vital. Right. And I thought Bobby Robson summed it up perfectly. And that's what I mean. Blues have recognised that. So every time I talk to either Jeremy Dale about the foundation, or because I'm working with the Former Players Association, Jeremy Dale or Gary Cook or John Clark, every single conversation they have says fan experience, the fans. Yeah. What will the fans? Let's make it, you know, let's give them the best experience they can. They want better food. They want more drinks. They want better bars. They want a fan park. They've done all that for the fans.
I know.
And they're going to give the fans, hopefully, a team to be proud of. So they are, whereas they want to win, they are concerned that they give the fans the best experience they can. Not a miserable day where, and I remember going back to under Samesh Kumar, when their company had just gone bust and Terry Cooper was there trying to run it, and with Alan Jones and Jack Wiseman. And I remember one day the announcement was, for those in the cup, you can have hot tea or you can have hot pies. You can't have both. And saying that's how fans were treated. Now, even under, I don't think Dong and Coke give a monkeys about the fans. As they'd have had a better, cleaner stadium for them. No, these people care about the fans and they want to give the fans the best experience. And they know if they do that, then the fans will come out. They'll get more sponsors. They'll get more people in the ground, more season tickets. So, I mean, it's a two-way love affair.
Yeah, definitely. And what I like about it as well, Tom, it's not just the fans as well. It's the stadium there pumping a lot of love into the club as well. Just all round for me. And that's more. I mean, my dad's really excited. He said it's like David Golden Sullivan times 10. He said like he can't wait to get going.
Well, they took us so far. Yeah, they didn't build the final part of the stadium.
Yeah,
that was the for me the big thing, and they went so far. But nevertheless, promotion, all that went under them. It was, listen, mate. Let's get absolutely clear. I thought they did. And David Gold was a really good friend of mine. And Karen Brady, and I still speak to Paul Pescasolido all the time. Everybody plays a part in history, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody plays a part, whether it's good or bad. And the history is now. And remember, what's our club motto on the badge? The old badge. No, the old badge. Yes, but the old badge where they have the city's crest. Forward.
Oh, yeah.
Forward. And that's what we've got to look at now. Forward. Look forward. And I think the future's bright and blue for Blues, and Blues fans should be excited. I have never been this excited. I mean, listen, I was excited going to Wembley and all that, but I'm talking about the future of the club. All of a sudden, I'm really excited that we've got owners who care. They're not in it. They're not in it for love. They're in it to make Blues successful. That'll do for me. Yeah. We've also got the affinity because Gary Cook is from Kings Heath and a Blues fan. And I know he is because I was with Jeremy Dow with Kevin Broadhurst, and the door knocked, and Gary Cook put his head around the door and said, "Jeremy, I've got to go. I'm in a rush for a meeting. I'll see you in half an hour or something." And all of a sudden, he looked and he went, "Tom Ross, I listened to you, Kevin Broadhurst. I love watching you. You kick people." He never went to his meeting. He sat down with us for about 10 minutes because he was so excited to talk about Blues. So whatever you think, he's Blues and he wants it to be successful. He's had success elsewhere with Manchester City, with Nike. So let's get behind these people. I think so.
Yeah, listen, definitely.
Will they make mistakes? Of course they will. Who hasn't?
Yeah, we all make mistakes, mate. You know, I made one last week.
But they make when they make mistakes, they rectify them quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. And they will. What really resonated with me was relegation. I spoke to Tom Wagner and he said, nothing will change, relegation or not. Nothing changes. We're still going ahead with the new stadium. We're still going ahead with all the refurbishment of the current stadium. And I went, wow. Because the first thing you get relegated, people say, I can't afford to do that now.
Yeah, I can't afford to do it.
These people said, we're doing it. We're going ahead. We're doing it. As I said, you know, Gary Cook apart, who's Blues mad, you know, everybody else wants to be successful because they're proud businessmen. Tom Wagner is an American. He wants Blues to be successful because that will be on his CV. I'm going to be successful. And he's bought into Blues. Tom Wagner's bought into Blues.
Yeah. Revenue's massive, isn't it? You know, like he knows he's going to create the revenue as well, doesn't he, Tom? He's a really clever man, isn't he?
Absolutely. And he knows that if he builds the right thing, the revenue will come.
Yeah.
He knows that you don't go looking for it. If you do the right things, it comes.
It comes,
what he's going to do is make Birmingham City so attractive that big sponsors will want to come and spend the day there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have wanted to come a year ago. You wouldn't have wanted to bring a business, high-powered businessman to St Andrews, the mess it was in.
Yeah.
He wants them people to come now and have an experience.
Yeah.
Sponsors. That don't affect people like you and me. We go to watch the Blues and all. But these people come and their money makes a difference because the more revenue you get, the more you spend on players under FFP rules. That will be fundamental as well for me. So listen, I'm excited. I'm not saying everything I've said is right. It's just my opinion. That's all I'll say. But you know, for me as a Blues fan, I have never ever been as excited as I am at this time for the future of Birmingham City Football Club.
Well, that's good to hear from you, Tom, as well. It's
we'll do it again, Simon. You know, loads of stories and have a bit of fun. But you know, just talking about the club today, you know, and I went through all the problems with Coombs's when they lost money. Then we had Ken Weldon, and oh my goodness, all that went
Kumar brothers.
Or then the Kumars, Ken Weldon. You know, I remember Gary Pendry, the manager, ringing me saying, "Just had Ken on the phone. I've got to sell Julian Dix because we've got a tax bill coming." And we sold him cheap, 300,000. Julian Dix. I mean, nonsense. But that was the club at the time. Then we had the Kumar brothers, who were okay, to be fair, until their business, not their business, their bank, if you remember, their bank went bust. And then there was a problem. And then Sullivan and Gold, and boy, we were on a roll then for a while, you know. And then, as I say, then sold out to Trillion Trophy. And Carson Young won a trophy under him, if you remember.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was a crook.
He was a crook, yeah.
Well, he was sent to prison, so we know.
Jail, yeah, I was going to say he's in jail.
But I don't know whether he's let out now. I think he might be out. But nevertheless, it was all right under him. But the minute he went to jail and no money, and we've been in the mess ever since. Trillion Trophy Asia haven't given monkeys. And they've let the club sink and sink. And all we were an asset to stay on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, in my opinion. I'm not an expert on Hong Kong or the stock exchange, but that's how I believe it. We were just a reason to stay on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So they didn't have to invest in us, and they didn't. And they allowed the stadium to fall into disrepair. And now all of a sudden, thanks to people like Jeremy Dale who got them involved, and Gary Cook who made it all happen, we've now got a future. We now can look ahead. You know, at one time, Blues fans, you know, the end of the tunnel, you know, was usually a train coming in the opposite direction. You know, now we can look forward and see positivity around the place.
It's exciting, Tom.
And I'm excited, and you should be excited.
Exciting, you know? Mate.
And get behind the club. And listen, I don't have to say that. Why am I saying get behind the club? Blues fans have always got behind the club. But I'm saying to those people that said, "Oh, I've had enough," now's the time to come back. Trust me, now's the time to come back. You know, and perhaps next time we can talk about the Former Players Association. Something to be proud of, this club, and it's our 30th anniversary this year.
I know, mate. I really enjoyed this, Tom, as well. Just talking to you, mate, and
no, it's been a pleasure. I'm sorry I'm rambling. Apologies for rambling on, everybody.
That's all right. It's more important, you know, it's making time for me, Tom. Big fan of yours, and
no worries, pal. Thank
hopefully
you.
we can do it again, Tom.
Listen, keep right on, pal.
Keep right on, mate. Up the Blues.
God bless you. Cheers, pal. Take care, mate.
You, mate. See you later, Tom.
Cheers, mate. Bye.